Before we start, a little backstory. I have actually done this video before, but in a different format. On my format channel that no longer exists, I took it upon myself to watch horror movies from that one disturbing iceberg list that was going around some years ago. In the video, I did watch every single movie from each tier list, and I will never do that again. So in today's video, instead of watching the movie again with you guys, because I've already done that before, I am just going to go through what the movie is about, so you don't have to watch them. Let's begin. For reference, this is the tier list that we are working with. It's the most popular one, I believe. That's why I used it. First up, we have Friday the 13th, 1980. The movie I watched from the first tier list was Friday the 13th. I think most people have already watched this movie. It's a cult classic. But if you haven't watched it for some reason, it's about a group of young counselors that arrive at this reopened campsite called Camp Soleil. However, they are unaware of the dark past of the camp where a boy named Jason drowned years earlier. One by one, they're hunted down by this unseen killer, which when you find out who the killer is, you are going to be shocked. However, it was a fun watch. I like seeing this man's face on my screen, and I am going to, in fact, watch the sequels. Next movie we have is Hostel, 2005. The next movie I watched from the second series was Hostel. Hostel follows two American backpackers, Paxton, Josh, and their Icelandic friend, Uli, as they travel through Europe looking for adventures and Paris, which basically means sex. In Slovakia, that led to a perfect hostel filled with beautiful women and promises of sex. But things start to take a dark turn when their friends start disappearing slowly. They soon discover that the hostel isn't really a hostel, but they are already fucked at that point. So the film is very vulgar, so be careful if you're watching around kids or parents or just anyone you wouldn't want to watch this type of movie with.
Harry! I was just looking for the sports.
I did like the commentary the movie gave on tourism and people who come to other countries to exploit people, like the main characters. It is a good movie in my opinion, and there are sequels which I am going to be watching. A Serbian film, 2010. The next movie I watched from the third tier list is a Serbian film. Before I begin, trigger warning, everything. I thought I had seen it all in terms of like violence, nudity, human depravity. No. This is one of the most controversial films ever made. And usually I think that, people are usually exaggerating when they say that. I get why. I think it should have been down in the list, honestly. This is too much for just a third tier. That's why I started getting scared. So like, what's the other tiers? This movie consists of extreme violence, abuse, including minors, yes, necrophilia, and other kinds of deeply disturbing figures that I didn't think were even real. This is the kind of stuff that should be in the dark web. The film is also widely banned or censored in many countries. The film is often cited not just for its horror, but for pushing extreme boundaries in, according to them, intentionally shocking and graphic ways. So this was meant for shock factor. The story follows Milos, a retired star who's struggling to support his wife and young son. He is approached by a mysterious man named who offers him this large sum of money to star in an art film. He's desperate for the money because he's got bills to do, so he accepts the offer. And that was the worst mistake he could have ever made. The game also ends in the most tragic way possible. I don't even know how a human thought of this. The final scene is... I'm at a loss for words. After watching this movie, I was wondering how the people involved made this movie. And I never wondered that when I finished the movie, but this was something serious. Apparently, the filmmakers claimed it was a political and social allegory meant to reflect the exploitation, the corruption and violence of post-war Serbia, especially like themes of powerlessness and manipulation. However, the critics and audiences didn't really see it as such, and neither did I. They saw it as, and I quote, gratuitously extreme and just unnecessary. That the allegory was lost amid the graphic shock value. It almost felt like they were going for the shock value more than whatever they were preaching. You could have gotten your point across without doing all this. If you think I'm overreacting and you may not go and watch this movie yourself, let me tell you some of the scenes so you can get prepared. There's a scene where they ask a man to fuck a child, like an actual child. There's another scene where he has sex with a lady while beheading her. There's also another scene where a woman gives birth to a baby and that baby is immediately irresponsible, like fresh from the womb. This is not normal. There's another scene where Milos, the main character, at the ending is laced with some kind of drug, so they make him his child, whilst his brother his wife. These are all the scenes I can remember. Definitely more, but this is all I could remember from the movie. This is why I say this movie almost gives like dark web kind of movie. I think it needs to be lower on the list. Again, if you're considering watching it, please be fully aware that this is not a conventional horror film at all, and it is emotionally and psychologically disturbing. Okay? Moving on to the next tier list, we have Necromantic 1987. The next movie I watched from the fourth tier list was Necromantic. Necromantic is a controversial German cult horror film directed by, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce that well, but Jörg Buttgereit. The story follows Rob, a man who works for a company that cleans up after suicide and accident. He has a disturbing obsession with dead bodies and keeps the corpse of a woman he found in the forest as a lover. He also has a girlfriend who, honestly, him and his girlfriend are both crazy. These are like, I don't want to make this a racing, but this is like when people say these are crazy white people behavior. They sleep with the cops, but like literally and figuratively. The film also doesn't really have much substance. There are scenes that don't really make sense. It's very like weird, artsy vibe. Like those kind of films where people tell you that if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Because I didn't get it. The ending is also really funny. It's not supposed to be, but it is, and which might be controversial because I laughed at the ending scene. So sorry if that had a deeper meaning. The next movie I watched is The Necrofiles 1997. The fifth tier list movie I watched was The Necrofiles. The Necrofiles is a low-budget cult horror film directed by Matt Jaslow. Most of you might know this movie. The movie is about, and bear with me because there's barely a plot and it's really stupid. And I also have bad memory. But from what I can remember, I think it's about this like that was killed by cops. Then there's a satanic cult that brings him to life as a zombie, but he begins to kill and rape people because, you know, he's a rapist. There's also like cops. I said there's cops. And there's also a demon flying baby. The movie is campy. I'll give it that. The movie is absolutely stupid. I don't know what to tell you. It's all over the top. I hated it. Not because it was camp, but like because I was like low-key bored. And I've told you guys this multiple times. The worst thing the movie can do for me is to be boring. That is literally a crime. When I call movie boring, I say it as a slaw. Okay, so unfortunately there is no sixth tier list. I know. I really tried, but I couldn't find any film from that tier list. I don't know why. I even used the VPN and some other dangerous means, but nothing worked. So unfortunately, we are going to move on to the next tier list. Next up, we have the Scrumfest 1989. At the seventh tier list, I made the horrid mistake of watching Scrumfest. First of all, this isn't a horror movie. It's not. It's horror, but it's not a movie. It's basically a video done by these Japanese people. I saw Freakish Fish, know it was going to be Japan. It's basically a series of events or videos of like fish. Out of all the movies mentioned in this video, if there's one not to watch, especially if you have a weak stomach, it would be this one and the Serbian Fair. Don't watch this. I'm not saying this to dare you. I am genuinely serious. If you have a weak stomach, just do not watch this. Okay? But I know some of you are curious, so to prevent you from watching it, I will tell you the series of events that take place. We basically have a lady, and the film is like handheld, like somebody's holding the camera recording. We have a lady being fed cockroaches, worms, and maggots. And also feces straight from the source right into her mouth. It's like that 2 girls and 1 cup video all over again, but this is way worse. I didn't finish the video because that's basically all what was happening. They were just feeding someone a bunch of shit. You guys are also gonna hate me again, but I also couldn't find any movie from the 8th tier list. Unfortunately, honestly, fortunately for me, I really tried, but nothing was working. Like, I really used every means I could find, but I couldn't find anything. Okay guys, that's the end of the video. Feel free to tell me any other movie you watched from the tier list and what they were about, because I'm not going through this ever again. Like, tell me what really happens and why it's so bad that it made it to a tier list. Yeah, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!